webcast for the month of May 2026, where we're going to talk about intentionally communicating the vibe of hospitality. Thank you for joining us around the world today. If this is your first time, I want to let you know we do always start out with shout outs as we wait for the rest of our live attendees to come on. And it also is a great way for me to get in the mindset, standing here alone in our headquarters office, looking at a webcam, imagining and remembering all of you around the world here, clients, first-time attendees that are joining us. And so we'll run through some shout outs and then we're going to get started on a program which I'm really excited because I did a lot of development work for you on this. So first of all, we are always excited to see management companies, hotel management companies. We have Hotel Evolution. Bharat, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And I think this is your first time. We're actually based here in Atlanta. It would be wonderful to come by and meet you for a coffee. We have My Place Hotels, Diane, as well as the Nerds. I believe you've been with us before. Welcome back. Orem Hotels, Leslie, we appreciate you. We have a lot of clients in the luxury segment today. We have Abode Luxury out in Park City, Jackson, and also Big Sky, Montana. Forget your last location, but Liv, great to have you. I highly respect all the work you do. It's been a few years since I've been out to Abode, and I'd love to return and do some training. Cove Atlantis, Kaylee, Atlantis Paradise Island. I had a chance to be there and work with the communications team a couple years ago. It would be great to come back and do an on-site training for the Cove, which is the most luxurious, I believe, 5-star section. Hershey, PA, the Hershey Hotel, the Hershey Lodge Conference Center, Hershey Park. Megan, we are glad to see you. I know Kathy's enjoyed seeing you on the HSMAI events, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks at the HSMAI Commercial Strategy Conference. Megan, White Elephant, we appreciate you as a client. Thank you for signing up your team. Nizuk Resort, Magdalena, it was so nice to see you on earlier this week when I was back at Nizuk, and thank you and Stephanie for the warm welcome and hugs. I hope you're feeling better. Sail Rock, over in Turks and Caicos, Tiquiera, I would love to continue our discussion about coming out to do some on-site training for your amazing luxury property there. Vacation rentals, wow, a lot of vacation home rental companies. If you're not familiar with that as a hotelier, check out some of these companies. You know, a lot of people think vacation rental is mom and pop has a condo or a house and rents it on Airbnb, but we have some major property management companies. Village Realty, where I just was 3 weeks ago. Amy, and you're signing up. Sun Realty, I think your team has been signed up for almost every webcast we've done in this series, which is going into its 4th year now. Janice Farr, how long have I known you? Probably longer than either of us want to say, but here you are signing up. Oak Island, Kim from Bellcrest, which is now the parent company. Kim, we're excited to have you. I hope you enjoyed the series we just did for your entire company. Padre Getaways, Deonda. Hello, nice to see you back. And where's the rest of your crew? Maybe you're sharing the video with them. Renting the Coast, St. Joe, Florida. I'm sure these are luxury homes. And Jennifer, I don't think we've seen you yet. Thank you for joining us. Please come back. International clients, Stay Florio, Karen in Belize. Thank you for joining. Empira Hotel, Art Deco in Punta Cana. We have Luz. Also in Punta Cana, we have Finest Resorts. We have Belkis. You know, I'm in Dominican Republic a lot, working with Majestic Resorts, and we just added a brand new client that I'm happy to announce, Casa de Campo, one of the most famous traditional luxurious resorts. Going to be back a lot if you want to bring Doug Kennedy to your area. My Angel Host up in Quebec, thank you for joining us. We have a tourism group today, Jennifer, Virginia Tourism Corporation. Great to have you. If you ever need a keynote speaker, I just did one for the Maryland Tourism Council last fall. And then finally, Sean Tibbetts, you made it. One of the best trainers. Okay, a tie for the best trainer in the hotel industry. Sean, how great to be in touch a lot recently, and we do hope to find some ways to partner with you in KTN. Let's get started on intentionally communicating the vibe of hospitality. Now, first, a little recap. You know, this is part of a series. We do a webcast every month It rotates between the topic relating to hospitality, guest service, reservation sales, which is what we're doing next month in advanced reservation sales training webcast. And then we're going to go back to group and event sales for July. But I'm going to refer back because I always like to refer back to the previous related topics. We did a program called, whoops, I forgot to advance for the shout outs. We did a program called Hospitality Is a few months back. That's on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to revisit a little bit of content on that. This is our brand new course that we just launched last November, December, and it is a very high level hospitality class, even more so than a guest service experience. It's very high-end hospitality. And then you can check the shorter version of that out on YouTube. We talked in that about hospitality being a shared vibe that makes people feel good. So I'm going to just do a couple of recaps here because it ties into communicating intentionally the vibe of hospitality. We have to revisit what is a vibe. Now, traditionally, vibe seems to be one of the most popular words right now in our current vernacular, including in the lodging industry. I know VR Nation is doing VR Vibes newsletter. Vibes is showing up in a lot of different places, which makes me happy because traditionally the word vibe has been taken unseriously. People think it refers to the intangible, maybe even imaginary aspects of nonverbal interpersonal communication. We all know it anecdotally, but we don't always take it seriously. And I'm here today to tell you, I think vibes are very, very real. And I think vibes are measurable because the fields of psychology and medicine have actually converged, and they've proven that vibes are actually measurable in interpersonal, in-person communication. But we do a lot of work in the telephone sales world, teaching hotel sales, reservation sales. We score recorded conversations that our clients record in various platforms. We download those, score them. And we hear that vibe flowing through the phone call too. When you hang up the phone, how many of you have had a conversation with a prospective guest, especially if you're in sales, but even in operations, and you hang up, you say, it was so nice talking to you. And you turn to your coworker and say, I just talked to the nicest person. Thousands of kilometers or miles away, someone else is hanging up going, I just talked to the nicest person. That's the vibe flowing through. But let's look at vibes in person. So again, I will once more refer to the HeartMath Institute. If you Google search HeartMath Institute and the word entrainment, like entertainment, but entrainment, hopefully you can read it on my screen here, you will get the research that I'm sharing with you today. This is actually their meme right here showing the energy field. The magnetic field of the heart is very strong. If you've ever had an EKG, you know that. They can measure it from your feet. You can also see your magnetic field showing up in your smartwatch. But entrainment is where HeartMath has found the field, the heart magnetic field can interact with other people's energy fields, potentially influencing their heart rhythms. This is called cardio co-modulation. And if you've ever had a person walk into your presence as a customer, most evidently as a guest or customer, and suddenly you feel like this energy, before they start yelling at you even, they come into your presence, you feel your heart almost going out a little bit out of rhythm. That's what is happening. On the other hand, sometimes people walk into your space and you just go, oh, wow, you feel that as well. But this is called emotional entrainment. And the impact, per HeartMath, their research suggests that a person's emotional state can create an energetic environment that affects those nearby, highlighting the potential for positive emotions to promote a more harmonious environment. Now, as I often say, when I've read this, I think, wow, that's great to hear. I'm glad they found it, but kind of duh, because we all know this if you've ever worked with the public. Been working with the public since I was 9 years old. From ages 9 to 20, I worked at my mom's Kennedy Craft Supply store. And then at age 20, I worked at the Marriott Griffin Gate, part of the grand opening team. And, of course, then had my hotel career. I've been working with the public my entire adult life. I know this. You all know this. It's not a surprise, but it's nice to see scientific research. So I made this, I think, fun little AI image. I'm really enjoying making the images. We're going to use a lot of AI images here. It's kind of exciting the way it works. But if I'm going to show it again here because I talked over it. But the way the energy field actually flows between the guests and our staff. It has a fluencia on everyone we encounter. Now, I'm not saying influenza. If you're with me, I often talk about that. Unfortunately, I only speak one language. It's kind of embarrassing when you go to Europe, for example, where people speak commonly two, usually three languages. But I was raised in central US, and when I came up, not everybody was encouraged to learn a language. We are changing in US, and I hope that we do embrace the diversity of learning other languages and other cultures. But at least I try to learn one language well. So this is the information age. I go on my phone, I click, and you can dig down into the etymology of the word. And so the word influencia, I thought was perfect to describe the vibe, okay? So maybe you want to learn a new word today too. And thanks to Google Gemini, what is the meaning of the Latin word influencia? It's actually a medieval Latin noun meaning flowing in or influence. So it's derived from the verb influi, which is to flow into a stream or to pour in. So influentia, hopefully I'm saying that right, influentia originally referred to an ethereal fluid believed to flow from the stars to affect human destiny. It didn't refer to the flu, influenza, which is highly contagious. But I thought that was interesting. It was a flowing in, but originally in Latin and etymology here, an ethereal fluid flowing from the stars to affect our destiny. Now, ethereal, or some people say ethereal, what does that mean? I hear this word thrown around a lot, but I never really studied it. But thanks to Google Gemini, click, boom, here we have that describes something extremely delicate, light, airy, often appearing too perfect or spiritual too perfect for this world or spiritual in nature. Really describes to me the vibe of hospitality, right? There is almost a spiritual quality when we produce that vibe. We're sending those vibes out into the world, and I think that is really important. We have a lot of challenges in our world today. We always have. Young people today say, oh my gosh, it's never been this bad. Okay, let's take a quick trip back in history. 1941, my father turned 18 in May of 1942, 6 months after Pearl Harbor. He had to join in the Navy because he didn't want to be in the Army and sit in a trench. And you talk about a challenging time. The world was almost overrun, through fascism of Japan and Germany and Italy, the Axis powers. When I came up, a lot of parents didn't want to have children or were concerned about having children because I grew up in the era of atomic war. We were one push away. Study the Cuban Missile Crisis, learn about the submarine operator crew of 3 that were attacked by a PT boat, a US PT boat, and they were voting on whether to launch the atomic bomb because they had lost communication with Russia, with USSR. And it took 2 of the 3 to vote yes. Fortunately, only 1 voted yes. They were 1 vote away from launching that bomb. That was the early 60s. So yeah, we have a challenging time, but there's always challenges in this world. Let's work together and get through it. Be the change you want to be in this world. And that's why I love today's topic, the vibe of hospitality. Let's throw out that vibe. It has an ethereal effect on others. Let's look at what the vibe does. So whether you're a maintenance, engineering, tech, or housekeeping, or this looks like a Clef d'Or concierge here, maybe you work in any, what we call front of the house in a hotel, or what I like to say, heart of the house, because it's not back of the house. That's where hospitality starts. Maybe you're in the vacation rental business, you or your team communicates mostly through text and voice. I hope you do call people, especially when they're upset. I hope you call people when they book online and to let them know who you are. When you do these things, you go from here to here, and you literally project out your glow as a vibe. So that is a combination of what we covered in hospitality is. The vibe of hospitality, we have to find our deep source every day. My deep source, some people find meditation or yoga or listening to music or cuddling with your dog, or maybe through prayer in church, temple, mosque, or meditation. I have a very simple one. It's called gratitude. And every morning I set my mobile phone for 5 minutes earlier than I have to wake up, and I hit that snooze, but I don't go back to sleep. Just take a moment. That's how I, Doug Kennedy, power up my 5G. And when you do that, it makes you very powerful. You walk into work, not just being present, but projecting that vibe. Vibes are very real. And when we project that vibe, we project it onto others. So we take your business couple here in a corporate example of a hotel, walking in, maybe attending a wedding, they're dressed formally, and then boom, we light up that vibe. We flip the vibe. We project, I call it sometimes 5G positivity, and our vibe goes out to them. Now, let's say we have a resort guest and they're cranky, they're upset. If you've been with me before, I love in my trainings to have people think about what happened to them before they got to the hotel, the plane ride, the car ride, all the challenges, traffic, TSA lines, crowded seats, no food. If it was a family on vacation, what do they hear from the back of the car? They arrive in our lobby like this, but we project out that vibe of hospitality and we turn them into this. Have you had this happen? Transforming guests right before your very own eyes. So that's what hospitality is. It's a little bit about hospitality to create the vibe. But in our remaining time now, I want to talk about communicating the vibe. But one more comment. What else does that vibe do? So yeah, it's nice. You can say, thank you, boss, for signing me up for Doug Kennedy's webcast. And, we talked about kindness and changing the world. But we also impact money. Why does your hotel exist? Why does your vacation rental company exist? Why does your revenue management consulting exist, Quebec? Why? To make money. Why am I doing this webcast? Okay, I do like to see the turnout in the comments, and I appreciate all that, but it's capitalism, folks. Hospitality vibe makes money. It allows your accommodations company to stand out from the competition. So whether you're a luxury hotel like the Nizuc Resort, they are the only Forbes 5-star specifically in Cancun, so kudos to you. But you have a lot of other beautiful luxury resorts right in Cancun. You have the St. Regis, the JW Marriott, you have the Waldorf Astoria. Okay, if you're an all-inclusive in Punta Cana, you're fine. Or in Pyra, there's, I go running out there on the Punta Cana beach, which is amazing beach, by the way, and lining up and down the coast are lovely all-inclusives. If you're a vacation rental company in the Outer Banks, like 4 or 5 of you are today, you're renting houses, and right next to you is another 5-bedroom vacation house with a different company sign. What makes the difference, ladies and gentlemen? Your people. Because the product is very similar to what in hotels we call the comp set. The price with revenue management, automation, and data, if it's not automated, it's done by people, using the same data collected through automation, the price is going to be very similar. And the place, the product itself, the price are the same. What makes the difference? Insert your logo here. People are your superpower. So what does the vibe of hospitality do when we communicate it? It's going to give the 2 most important ways that people find lodging accommodation. Now we're talking about the inspiration phase in marketing. They call this top of the funnel, where people decide where you're going to go. And then the bottom of the funnel is how are you going to book that place? You would think when you read publications, all of the ones I write for, Hospitality Net, Hotel Online, Hotel News Resource, CoStar, Hotel News Now, VRMA, weekly, HSMAI insights. I write for all of these. I read all of these. You would think from the providers that the number one thing would be AI powered search right now, or SEO. I just read one yesterday that SEO actually powers AI search. So all of that is important, but in today's world, according to McKinsey and Company, which is a highly reputable consultancy, this is a survey of over 5,000 people. It is still today family and friends and the social media of family and friends on the inspiration phase. Okay. Now, of course, we have search engine and online booking platform, destination direct, website, travel blog, hotel website, all of these together. And by the way, respondents could check more than one. So all of these together may in fact add up to more than these two together, but still it is a huge, huge impact. Let's look at some other data. This is from Expedia. This is not even 1 year old, a year and a half old almost, path to purchase. So this is already the era of AI searches. You know, Expedia is all over that. In the inspiration phase, the initial phase is the largest source of inspiration in the initial phase, top of the funnel, is family. 37% of travelers were inspired to plan a trip after a conversation with a family member. 37%. That's according to Expedia. Again, legit, valid research. 17% were inspired by a conversation with a friend or coworker. And I believe this is, you can only select one because these appear to add up to be 100. Okay. Now let's look at Hospitality Net, a source according to a survey done of UK, United Kingdom travelers, where this is 2025 data, 2026 is still being gathered. Friends and family are 36% find their inspiration from friends and family, which was actually up from the previous year. Why is that? I don't know about you, but I trust what I see online less and less, partly because of AI. I'm pretty sure somebody could pick up their phone and say, okay, Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever your preference is, please create 20 Gmail accounts, each with an individual login, send me the code so I'll have them, and then go online, create Google reviews for my hotel, give us all 5 stars, say different things about each one. Click. Now, if it doesn't actually work that way, I'm pretty sure it will work that way soon, or maybe it's a little more complicated. And then you take a picture of your hotel, your vacation rental cabin, or whatever it might be, your B&B. Who am I leaving out today? I think we have senior housing company here, your senior housing community, and you tell AI to remove something in the background or add something in the background or make it look newer, refresh it. The more technology puts stuff online, the less we believe it. I think I'm not the only one in that case. So in case you missed it, go back to our YouTube channel, look at Hospitality Is. Let's spend the rest of our time digging deeply into the toolbox that we use for creating hospitality experiences daily. So we're going to finish out our last 20-30 minutes here by talking about the tools for demonstrating the philosophy of hospitality. Hospitality looks at the vibe, how we power up the vibe, and we do touch a little bit on this part, but in the rest of our time together, we are going to dig deep into these tools for the toolbox, things that we do to welcome our guests through eye contact, smile, listening, and sharing that vibe. Okay. Now, please join along here, and I hope you enjoy. I did a lot of research, as I mentioned. I dug deeper into wordless communication. Now, we all know wordless communication speaks loudly. I know there's been a survey quoted, I think it might have come from Toastmasters International, which is a public speaking club. It's actually where I started my career years ago before I started in the training business. Kathy Cook, our executive director, also is the DTM, the highest level. I'll speak more about that in a minute, but they would say like 90% of communication is nonverbal. So we're going to dig deep into that, because you can say all the right things and check the boxes on an inspection report or a mystery shop report, but still not communicate the vibe of hospitality. So we're going to go down the rabbit hole into proxemics and kinesics. Okay, so proxemics is the study of how distance and personal communication affects personal communication. Standing closer indicates friendliness. Okay? Keeping a greater distance shows formality and respect. Increasing the distance when you're backing away from the person shows discomfort. All right. Now, a lot of this is cultural, and I have found this. Maybe some of you have found this. Some of you are right now international, okay? Most of you are North America today. We frequently do have people from throughout Europe and Asia for different topics, and of course, many of them watch us on YouTube, so maybe you're going to be seeing this there. I've been to 19 different countries, which is to present training. I've probably been to another 10 or 15 for leisure because my passion is vacation, as is Kathy's. And you will notice the actual distance that people stand varies by country, the norm, okay? Now, I have found, and again, there's different, I don't want to stereotype here. Some of the countries I'll mention are very large, and there's, you know, just like in the United States, we have different states have different communication, but it tends to be what I found when I got to do training in Moscow, Russia a couple of times, and also Bulgaria, that people stand a little bit closer. And that's kind of the norm. Also, particularly the older generations did not smile as much when they spoke. Younger people were more, their culture has changed to become more like westernized. But it was, you know, a little uncomfortable for me at first when people would come right up to you after the class and say, Mr. Kennedy, I really enjoyed your class. You know, part of me is thinking like, I need a breath mint. But usually in the United States, you know, our comfort level is going to be about an arm's length, maybe about 3 feet. So let's look how this impacts. Some of you may have heard of the 10-4 rule, which means to acknowledge the guest at 10 feet and then greet them at 4 feet. I did translate this for most of the world, which is on the metric system. You know, when I was a kid, we were supposed to be going metric. I don't know what happened, but approximately this distance is where you want to grab eye contact, hold it, walk by, smile, and say, welcome, hello. Now, what a lot of us do in the United States is we look at people and say, hi, hello, good to see you. We're afraid to hold eye contact. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. And I have covered that in a lot of other webcasts. I do cover it in our trainings, but we're going to come back and talk a little bit about that. But, you know, mostly here we're looking at the greeting part, the distance. And then as you get 4 feet away is when you do your welcome. Okay. So let me share with you a couple of examples here. So this picture, our model is standing a little bit further away. You can see it's a little more detached. Now watch, here's the proper level when he gets about, this is maybe even a little closer when you've started talking to someone, you have a comfort level and you even get maybe just a little bit closer. And that shows a little more of a connection, a little more personalization. But you want to start out at approximately the 3 feet away. And if you're having a cordial conversation, you know, this is where you'd be the distance to where with the bent elbow, you could reach out and shake their hand. Okay, make sure to keep your breath mint. So this is proxemics now. And that is really, really important that we don't, if you stand, again, in North America, where most of you are, instead of the 3 feet, if when someone says, excuse me, I have a question, and you come up and you stand 5 feet away, 6 feet away, that's sending a different vibe. They're communicating a different vibe. That is going to feel colder and less personal. They don't want to get too close to them. Okay, so pay attention to these things. You know, I studied sociology in college. I wish I could say it was because I thought it was really valuable. I thought it was interesting. It was also a good way to get an easy A or a B. Psychology and sociology, actually, I have that on my class ring here, ended up being part of my general studies major that I crafted my own program, and they're the ones I use the most. These things are really important if you want to communicate hospitality. So let's look at kinesics, which is the study and interpretation of nonverbal communication through body movement, gestures, posture, and facial expressions. So let's take a little bit deep dive into each of these as we go through. Facial expressions. Our face alone can speak 1,000 words. Just, we can look surprised. We can look disgusted. We can look bored. We can look attentive. We can look shocked. All with the same face. I don't know offhand how many muscles there are in the face, but it's incredibly expressive gesture. Expressive source of gestures that we can make with our face alone. Doubt, surprise, all of these things. So our face, in a way, is a big source alone of nonverbal communication. Now, eye contact. In Western cultures, what's happening, and again, it's not just the United States, but I think we did lead the way with getting smartphones more than most other countries. Canada, you're right there with us. Mexico, you're right there with us. But we've become so glued to our phones that our amount of eye contact is less. And so I find when I'm walking down the airport or through the hotel lobby, or I'm going through a restaurant or a nightclub, and you casually make eye contact with people, we have devolved this. We have gone to hello, hi. And I challenge you to pay attention to this. When you're approaching a stranger, in this case, a guest, it might be in the lobby if you're a hotel. It might be in the field if you're a large resort, okay, like Nizuc, or if you're a vacation rental company where your properties are spread out. And when you're approaching that stranger, a stranger we call our guest, and you get the 10 feet away and you look over, you have one shot at eye contact. Because if you look, do your 3-second half-hearted and look away, they will not look back at you. So what I challenge you to do, this is what they do at Nizuc Resort. In fact, they add another little gesture. Every one of their staff, they go like this, and they hold the eye contact as they're passing you, and they smile. Now, at Nizuc on Tuesday, when I was presenting training in the heart of the house, I was in the in-house training room, and I used the men's locker room. So I was interacting with the staff. I noticed them using this gesture when they greet one another, because hospitality starts in the heart of the house. So eye contact. Now posture. It's hard to see on a webcam, but we can have posture. It's not, now we all know we're not going to be slouching on the desk, but just our posture. Head down like this. Good evening, how can I help you? Thank you for being our guest. We're so happy that you're here. Our posture says a lot. Now, also good posture is good for your health. Google that one, okay? If you take yoga class. Now, what's happening to our posture today? We're down here like this. We're getting like foam neck. I don't know what's going to happen to our children's children when they grow up. They're going to be like, this is how they're going to, their neck will devolve. Maybe future, people on this planet will walk around like this, but try to have good posture. I remember when I was a bellman at the Marriott Resort, we had Ralph Trent was our bell captain. He was a good mentor to me. He would be like talking to me about stand up, put your feet straight, Kennedy. I had the duck walk. And even to this day, I'm still hear Ralph echoing in my head when I present myself. I'm getting a little older. I got a little curve happening, but stand up. It's good for your health, and it projects, communicates intentionally the vibe of hospitality. Gestures. We're going to look at gestures here in a minute. How we hold our arms and our hands. I always used to do a little training exercise. Like, we all know what this means. Defensiveness. This means offensiveness. But there's nuance to this. And I'm going to show you how hands on the hip can look in a very different way other than offensive. And even this gesture, if you cross your arms and you tilt your head, hi, Mr. Kennedy. Yes. How are you today? Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you. Are you enjoying your stay? I remember you from yesterday. Yes, we are. In fact, we have a story to tell you, Mr. Kennedy. And then I go, oh, you do? Now I'm like settling in and snuggly and putting my head sideways because I want to hear your story. Okay. So now on the other hand, if I go like this, hi, I have a question. Completely changes the communication. Isn't it amazing? How does a baby learn this so quickly? But if you've ever raised a child or you have a niece, grandniece, nephews, sister, if you brother, if you're an older sibling or a neighborhood kid, like that little child would, you'll see them like put, Mommy, I'm not going to the store with you. I don't want to do it. They learn these things so quickly. It is amazing. Leaning in, leaning away. All right, so let's take a look. Also, watch our video closely here. The way people mirror each other, the nodding of the head here, and then he's doing the nodding of the head. So this is what people do. Also, you mirror and match. I love to sit in a lobby, an airport, a public area, a restaurant, watching two people communicate, and then you'll see our heads. It's almost like they're on connected by a little string. And then we go like this, and they go like this. And then we go like this, and they go like this. We have to be attentive. We have to be present. If you're going to intentionally communicate the vibe of hospitality, you'll have to be present. So my goal today, and in the new era of our training, because all of this is going into our latest Heart of Hospitality certification class, which your staff can take remotely, one-on-one, live with Kathy Cook. My intention with all this is to raise awareness, because when we are aware of these things, then we start to realize we get out of our own head. We realize we're actually shouting loudly, non-verbally. Okay. Now let's look at some other ones here. I want to go back to this previous slide here, looking at gestures, how we hold our hands and arms, posture, and eye contact. So I have different slides here that we're going to go through. So right here, look, standing really close, that's nice, but look at this expression. Like you've traveled the world and you've never paid this fee before. You've never paid a fee. Now, on the other hand, here, look, arms crossed. It looks to me like he's sharing a story like, oh, wow, I'm so impressed to hear that. Arms are crossed, which I always said was defensive. And yet it looks, look, she's smiling, he's smiling. Now, on the other hand, arms crossed, no smile. Someone guaranteed you that request, huh? Who'd you speak with? Did you get a name? Doesn't believe, right? Now, arms crossed, again, this is somewhere in between, okay? And he's looking away from them. Sometimes if you have your arms crossed and you look away, it shows disbelief. That simple little gesture, even though he's somewhat smiling, you look away from your guest for a minute, just for a minute, it shows like, I really don't believe you. Okay. Did you pull that bed bug out of, Amazon? You bought it on Amazon and you pitched it onto the sheet? Yeah. I don't believe you. Sadly, that's happened, by the way. Now, here we go. This one is, you no-showed and you're not getting a refund, okay? But on the other hand, look, hands on hips, which we were told was aggressive. I went around and trained that throughout my career. And yet here's this man right here, smiling with his hands on his hips. It's so much nuance to this. To me, this actually shows extreme attentiveness in this photo. Like, Mr. Kennedy, we want to tell you what happened to us yesterday in the restaurant. Oh, certainly. Please let me know. Oh, I just wanted to let you know, your server, Chris, they are amazing. That's so nice to hear. It shows, I think, enhanced attentiveness. Now, here is even more so. Well, actually, I hired Chris, and he's actually my cousin. All right. Now, pointing. We all know, point with your hand, not your finger, okay? And if you use your finger, make sure it's this one. Okay. So here he's talking with his hands. I tend to talk with my hands. A lot of people in my family make fun of me. They say, "Oh, hi, Doug, how are you?" But this is how we act out, especially when you're dealing with accents and language barriers. And this is how we communicate. It's almost like we're the orchestra leader. If you ever played in band or orchestra in school, or your kid did, or you went to a philharmonic concert, the band director is leading the music. That's what we do with our hands. Okay. Now let's look at the hands here. Yeah, that is a really good point, Mr. Kennedy. You're right. We should include that information on our confirmation letters. Now, on the other hand, kind of the same thing here. I'm going to tell you a story. Okay. Now, again, we're all told not to point, but it depends on how you point and where you point. Okay. This would look a little weird, but the finger up is like, I've got one more suggestion for you, Mr. and Mrs. If you're going to do one thing during your trip, definitely check out this restaurant or this bar. This is a good way to use one finger. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, let's say we point it here. This is like looking away, like, that's a really good idea. Thank you. Let's continue on. Now he's pointing at you. This one's kind of in between. This one could be misinterpreted. This one, he's pointing at like, you are so smart. I wouldn't do this one. Okay. Because again, direct pointing at the person, unless maybe you're really comfortable, you say, you know what? You are number one. You are the best guest I've ever had. Maybe in that way, but you have to really make sure. I wouldn't recommend pointing. Kind of similar here. Now, on the other hand, this is kind of cute. You are right. So, there might be a context when you might be having a conversation with a guest and you say, that is a great idea, for emphasis. Again, using this in the context of the communication. When you first meet a guest, yes, how can I help you? Well, we just had one suggestion for you. The parking sign was a little hard to see. That's a great idea. Okay, that would be a little bit too much. But if you're having a long conversation with them and they say, oh, everything was really good, but and you laugh with them and you have some rapport going, and they say, I do have one suggestion. The parking sign was a little hard to read from the auto. That is a really good idea. Okay, so again, context. Now let's look at vocalics and paralanguage. Paralanguage and vocalics refers to the nonverbal vocal elements of speech, how something is said rather than what is said. So it's almost like gestures, what gestures are to our hands, what facial expressions are to our head. Vocalics and paralanguage are to the use of our voice. This is important in person, but according to Toastmasters, mostly we're talking with our hands, our eye contact, our posture. Okay, I really don't know if it's 90%, maybe it's 60-40, 70-30 nonverbals, but I think their intention was good to say mostly nonverbal. On the phone, all we have is our voice. Okay. Now, by the way, I wish that we did a lot more video calling in this industry. I'm a huge advocate for in hotel sales, or if you're trying to onboard a new owner at a property, instead of just talking with them, try to get them on a Teams meeting or Zoom or whatever it is that you use, Google Meets, get them face to face. Then we can use gestures, eye contact, and facial expressions. But our voice is our primary one. Okay. So pitch. Higher frequency increases the frequency, indicates uncertainty. Someone said you could check out at noon. Someone said you could check out at 3 p.m. Or check-in time is 4 p.m. Check-in time is 4 p.m. I'm going to try to say without any other emotion, just simply hi. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Okay. No, like check-in time is 4 p.m. Did you not get it? The high pitch alone indicates uncertainty. Now, speaking louder or expresses anger or frustration. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Oh, okay, excuse me. I'm going to stand here till 3:59 with my stopwatch out. It's speaking softer. Just to let you know, check-in time is 4 p.m. But we'll do our best to get you in early. Now, tempo rate. Speaking fast indicates frustration or annoyance. It also may express nervousness or stress. We do call scoring where, again, people in today's world, if your company is not recording conversations, you really should. First, for what I call guest honesty verification. It's the guest honesty verification system. I would not tell the guest, oh, we'll listen to your call in our guest honesty verification system. But it is a great way to protect yourself when someone says, sales promised me, reservation promised me, front desk promised me. You can simply say, oh, yes, we'll pull the recording because we do record our calls for training purposes. A lot of times they'll say, well, you know, I'm pretty sure they told me, but maybe not. But anyway, record your calls or hire a telephone mystery shopping company like ours, and your staff will get a chance to hear themselves on the phone. And it is painful at first, but it's also how we learn, okay? So you will hear that if you simply talk fast, because a lot of times in a telephone conversation, we talk really, really fast because we're really stressed because all the phone calls come in at once. If we could spread the phone calls out during an 8-hour shift, it would be a lot easier. But we have the phenomena called the everything happens at once principle of the hospitality industry, or the everyone calls you at once principle, usually when your coworker leaves. So if you talk a little bit faster, get the calls a little bit quicker. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Kennedy Hotel. This is Doug. May I help you? First of all, you sound stressed. Secondly, you're inaudible, but also can be speaking faster, may show annoyance. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Again, I'm trying to say it without adding the inflection to show like annoyance. Just simply, check-in time is 4 p.m. That alone, the speed indicates annoyance. Now, speaking slower. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Okay. It's noon. No, it's 10 a.m. Welcome to our resort on a Saturday. Check-in time is 4 p.m. You might as well say, don't come back and ask for the key. Don't be calling and texting us. Don't be standing out there looking at your watch. Check-in time is 4 p.m. Okay. So this is what we want to do. Now, vocalization. Now, vocalizations are important. This is one of the things I train worldwide. We have two choices. A lot of people will share their stories. What brings you to the hotel? What brings you to our town to rent a house? And they're going to say vacation or business. But if you stay present and have a reaction, instead of saying, what brings you in? Vacation. Oh, very good. Have a good stay. What brings you in? Oh, we're having a vacation. Oh, wonderful. They'll then say, it's our first trip with our new baby. In which case, this is the part I train people around the world on. Are you ready? Aww or aw. All right. So if you're with a group, please try it right now. Follow the fingers. Aw, aw. All right. No prompting. All right. I'm sure you all did that out there. So that is vocalization sample. Now, what I'm not talking about is crutch words. If you are Forbes rated, they hate these. They will kill you for that. Well, not literally kill you, but it will cost you a lot of points. Also, it's extremely annoying. This is what Toastmasters International, which we highly recommend, will help get out of you. We have telephone sales coaches, sales and service coaches that do training for our team. Kathy Cook, our executive director, watches all their videotapes, video recordings, tapes, just stated myself, the video recordings, and we coach them, and we notice when they use excessive crutch words. By the way, Kathy also critiques me every time I do a webcast. So hopefully I'm not doing too many, yeah, yeah, you know. Now, silence or pauses emphasizes a change in the conversation or a train of thought. Check-in time is 4 p.m. So Again, this is another way. All these things influence us. This is what they teach you in Toastmasters International, or you can have KTN do your telephone coaching for your staff if you want us to do mystery shops or call scoring, or just listen to the calls yourself and maybe record a call, have a friend record a call. I wish we could do more recording in person. That is actually coming now. They do have means that a company just contacted me recently that actually listens in to what's going on in the lobby and records key. Some of us think that's intrusion, but it's also a good way to subtly record conversations. Of course, you have to put the notice out. And we get feedback, okay? Managers, you should be listening to how your staff interacts in person. And if it's through phones, you should be recording it. If it's through text, you should be reading it. But in person, you can observe it and give them feedback on all these different things, okay? And in tone and inflection. So sarcasm or sincerity. So I'm going to do my best at reading an example from Kathy Cook, our Executive Director of Training. This is one of the things we're going to be covering in our new updated Heart of Hospitality certification, which we offer individually. It actually is only $199, by the way, just to do a blatant promo here. And you can have each person go through a 90-minute, 75 to 90-minute one-on-one webcam training. We're going to look at all the different aspects of this, what hospitality is, and other pillars. But she actually did this originally as a speech for Toastmasters International years ago when she worked for Marriott before she joined our company. She worked for them for 27 years. And I'm going to do my best to read this. Okay, I might have to repeat them a couple of times, but this is an example of how changing the emphasis of one word in a sentence completely changes the meaning. Okay, so I'll do my best, Kathy Cook here. I requested a king-size bed for my room. This sounds as if the customer is upset that she did not receive a king-size bed and another customer did. I requested a king-size bed for my room. Now, I requested a king-size bed for my room. This sounds like the customer is upset that they requested a king, but the request was not noted. I requested a king-size bed in my room. Now, I requested a king-size bed in my room. This makes the guest sound upset that she's receiving something other than a king-size bed. I requested a king-size bed in my room. I requested a king-size bed in my room. This sounds as if the customer is upset that he did not receive a king-size bed, but some other customer got his king-size bed. I requested a king-size bed in my room. Now, let's go to the responses from the staff. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I will see what I can do. This sounds as if you're indicating that guest thinks you're blind, and the request that you're blind to the request they made. I do see your request for a king-size room. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I will see what I can do for you. This sounds as if you see the request for the king, but you don't really plan on providing one. I do see your request for a king-size room. Now, next, I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I will see what I can do for you. This sounds as if you're recognizing and reminding them this is only a request, not a guarantee. I do see your request for a king-size bed in the room, and I will see what I can do for you. This sounds as if you're noting the request for a king-size bed, but you don't have any, and you're going to give them something other than a king-size bed. I do see your request for a king-size bed in your room, and I'll see what I can do. Okay, two more. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I will see what I can do. This sounds as if you're putting down your fellow coworker who did not put the customer in the room with the king-size bed in the first place. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I'll see what I can do. Yeah, good thing you got me. Yeah. Last one. I do see your request for a king-size bed, and I will see what I can do. This sounds as if you're annoyed with the customer for bringing up this issue to your attention, and you're annoyingly assuring them that you'll honor their request. If you'd like a copy of that to share with your staff, shoot me an email at the end. I'll give you our address. I think it's actually pretty funny, but it is so true. That is Vocalix. That's how we impact it. So another concept I like to share is listen loudly. When you say, what brings you in? Why are you here? And there's something exciting. Don't just say, very good. Thank you for choosing our hotel. This is like the most impersonal scripted response. We practice this in role playing. What brings you to the hotel? Oh, it's going to be our honeymoon. Oh, thank you for choosing us for our honeymoon. That is okay. This is because we focus too much on scripting sometimes. Okay. First, let's react. Amazing. Wow. Super. That's wonderful. Thank you for choosing our hotel. We're so excited you picked us. That's personalization. Thank you for choosing our hotel. Thank you for choosing our rental company. That is not going to do it. Okay. AI scoring will pick up on that and give you a credit, but the actual sentiment of the conversation, no. When speaking on the phone, a few reminders as we wrap up. We're rounding the corner here. This is going to be quick because we have other webcasts on these. But remember, phone calls are opportunities, not interruptions. I always do in our classes. Ring, ring means cha-ching. It's either someone calling to buy or someone calling with a question. And when people call with a question, they're calling to buy. It's just they haven't bought yet because they're online, probably shopping you on a costly third-party relationship site. So when someone just has a quick question, that also is a sales opportunity. Now that I've answered your question, can I check dates for you? Can I transfer you to our reservations team? Listen to understand the story behind the call, okay? And pay fully attention and listen to the response. Then as a follow-up, ask follow-up questions to discover the full story, okay? So be present with them. And again, that's what I touched on a little bit earlier. What brings you to the hotel? What brings you to town? Oh, just a business trip. Very good, very good. Let's move on. A business trip. Interesting. Actually, we're opening a new branch office here in town. Actually, I'm here hiring. Oh, would you like to rent a meeting room for your interviews? Do you have other guests that are going to be traveling that we can service? But also from the vibe of hospitality, you're being present. You're making a human connection that people remember. Don't blame callers for bad connections. I've heard this happen in calls that our team scores. Sir, are you driving? I'm having a hard time hearing you. I think your phone is cutting out. Okay, you know it's their phone and you probably know they're driving, okay? But a better way to say it, oh, Mr. I'm having a hard time hearing you right now. It might be on my end. I apologize if it's on my end. Then they'll say, oh, actually, I'm driving. I'm going through a dead spot. But that's a lot better than saying, are you going through a dead spot? Now, 30 seconds on hold, Forbes AAA standards. If you think that's a short time, do it with your staffs. Get in a meeting and say, I'm going to place you on hold momentarily, pause, and then I do a freeze frame. And I count out 30 seconds. I see we're almost out of time, so I'm not going to do it now. But put your timer on 30 seconds until the phone beeps 30 seconds. It seemed like a long time. Okay, so that's how we communicate the importance. Nothing wrong with saying, can I call you back? I can call you back later. Do you mind holding? It's going to be a couple of minutes. And then avoid transfers altogether. Handle the request if possible, but then supervise the transfer. Hello, Doug in operations. This is Martin in sales. I've got Mr. Kennedy on the line. He has a question about the check-in time. And then the person can pick it up and say, oh, yes, Mr. Kennedy, I understand you had a question about check-in time. Real quick, as we wrap up, intentionally communicating the vibe of hospitality in writing. This may be the topic of a future webcast. Let us know. In fact, let us know if you have other ideas of things you want us to talk about. This is something we teach in our effective communication through email, chat, and texting. A lot of the chat bots and texting is automated, but oftentimes you're doing human-powered communication. You want to make sure to do some of these best habits. Introduce yourself and address them by name. Don't say this is the front desk calling, or this is guest communication calling, or this is guest experience. Okay. Carefully read the inbound message. Look for those hidden details. Okay. When writing your response, paraphrase and restate something from the inbound message. It's very nice to receive your email regarding rates, and we would love to host you for your first trip with the baby or your first time in the area if they've shared those remarks. Okay? Better to respond to questions to clarify than to try to guess. So it's amazing people still do this, but I see inbound messages from our clients' inboxes they share with me. Hi, can you send me your rates for July? Like, you don't want to just say, oh, rates are based on availability. Please go to our website. Reply back, oh, thank you for inquiring for July. It's a great time of year to visit. Rates are date sensitive. If you can please assist us by providing the rates, we can give you dates, we can give you rates, or call me directly at this number, or I'll call you. Volunteer additional details beyond what was requested or asked for, and then make sure to, again, if they say, what time does your office close if you're not a 24-hour staffed hotel, if you're in a remote area or vacation rental. We do close at 7 o'clock in the summer. However, if you arrive late, we will make arrangements to leave your parking pass. Offer to call when it gets complicated. When the texts go back and forth or the email goes back and forth, more than 2 volleys back, inbound, respond, offer to call them. And then always, as we said earlier, when you introduce yourself by name, sign off with the name, not a department or title. Now, I'm a huge fan of headshots or team pictures on emails. So if you're from the guest experience team, if you're from guest service team, I do think it's important to have your headshot on there so they actually see you. Definitely for salespeople, we need to do this. Sometimes people say, oh, Doug, I don't know. I don't want them to see my face. Okay, go to Shutterstock, or no, take your photo, upload it to meta.ai and say, change me into someone else. Okay, and then there you go. You got a new headshot. It doesn't really have to be you if they're not going to meet you. Also, team pictures. This is our sales team. Anyone here can help you. This is our guest service team. Anyone here can help you. These are all great ways for communicating textually. Thank you so much, everyone. We are wrapping up now. A few closing remarks that I want to share. I hope you've enjoyed intentionally communicating the vibe of hospitality. We did recap what is hospitality, that it is a vibe, but how do we actually communicate it? Through proxemics, through kinetics, through gestures, eye contact, facial expressions, through body language and posture. These are all really, really important things. I enjoyed researching for this webcast. All of this is now going to be added in to our on-site training and our remote live webcam training. Please join us again in June for advanced reservation sales. We're going to look at maximizing rates, overcoming rate objections, and then in July, tell your hotel sales, your wedding sales, your event sales people to tune in for proactive, polite, productive prospecting. Join us on YouTube, where you can see Kate's video training tips. You can listen to our webcast on Spotify, or just join us on YouTube for the audio version of this class. If you're interested in on-site training, webcam training, conference speaking for associations, mystery shopping, or scoring recorded calls, reach out to me directly at Kennedy Training Network. Thank you so much for joining us, especially our regulars. I hope all of our new people enjoyed your first time. Come back, see us again, and have a great weekend. If you're in the United States, have a happy Memorial Day in honor of those fallen who gave so much. Have a great day.